Got a call from the ER. My husband was in critical condition after a private accident with his assistant. When I showed up, the nurse handed me his belongings. This was in his pocket. I took one look and walked out without a word. This happened about 6 months ago, and I still feel like I'm waking up from some long, stupid dream. My name's Laura. I'm 38, live in Fort Collins, Colorado. My husband, Dave, is, or was, a marketing executive for a big company downtown. We met when I was 26, working reception at a dental office. He was a patient. Charming, polite, always remembered my name. We started dating a few months after he finished his treatments. We got married 2 years later. We didn't have kids. Not for lack of trying, but that's a story for another day. We had 2 golden retrievers, Molly and Hank, and a little house we'd slowly fixed up over the years. We both worked hard. We weren't flashy. We had Sunday dinners, birthday parties with friends, vacations to national parks. To everyone, we looked like the solid couple. Maybe we were once. He started traveling more last year. At first it was just 1 or 2 nights. Then it was whole weeks. Always for client meetings or strategy retreats. I asked questions, of course. He always had answers. Calm, practiced ones. The kind that make you feel crazy for doubting him. I didn't press too hard. I told myself I trusted him. I wanted to. Then came the night that broke everything. It was a Thursday. I remember that because I had baked 24 muffins for the bakery's weekend rush and was about to clean up when my phone rang. I almost didn't answer. It was late, just past 10, and I didn't recognize the number. It was the hospital. Is this Mrs. Laura Blackwell? Yes, this is the ER at Poudre Valley. Your husband, David Blackwell, was brought in earlier this evening. He's stable now, but he came in critical. There was an accident. What kind of accident? I asked. There was a fall. We'll explain more when you get here. You should come right away. I dropped everything and ran to my car. The drive there was a blur. I kept replaying their words. A fall? From where? Was he drunk? Was it a car crash? Did someone attack him? When I got to the ER, the woman at the front desk looked up like she'd been expecting me. She called someone on the phone, then a nurse came out a few minutes later. Mrs. Blackwell? I'm sorry this is how you had to find out, she said. Your husband is stable. We've sedated him. He has a broken collarbone and a mild concussion. There were some complications. But he's going to be okay. Complications? I asked. She hesitated. He wasn't alone. His assistant was with him. She's stable too. They were found in a hotel suite. There was a fall in the bathroom. He hit his head on the sink. My heart dropped. I didn't say anything. I just stared at her, trying to piece it together. She reached into a drawer behind the counter and pulled out a clear plastic bag. These are his personal items. We're supposed to give them to you. The bag had his phone, his wallet, his watch, car keys, and something small, black, lacy. A pair of women's underwear. I just stared at it for what felt like forever. She didn't say a word. Didn't need to. I turned around and walked out. Didn't ask to see him. Didn't say goodbye. I just left. I sat in my car for nearly an hour in that dark parking lot, staring at my steering wheel, trying to make sense of it. But I already knew. I knew what happened. I knew who she was. It wasn't just some accident. It wasn't just a fall. It was the truth. And now it was mine to deal with. I didn't go home right away. I drove around for almost 2 hours, aimlessly, just trying to keep my hands from shaking. My phone kept buzzing, calls from the hospital, one from his boss, and even one from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't answer any of them. I couldn't. When I finally pulled into our driveway, everything looked the same. Porch light still on. Both dogs waiting at the window, tails wagging. Like nothing had happened. Like my life hadn't just exploded. I sat on the couch in the dark, still holding that stupid bag. His keys. His phone. And those panties. I took the phone out, thinking maybe there'd be some proof I was wrong. Some explanation that would make this all make sense. But there wasn't. The lock screen showed a text. That was the best night of my life. Can't believe it ended like that. I'm still laughing. Call me when you wake up. That had to be Marissa. His assistant. I'd met her once, maybe twice. Young, blonde, wore heels too high for office work, and always laughed a little too loud. I remember him saying she was a little green, but a hard worker. Right. I went into the bedroom and opened the closet. I pulled down his duffel bag, the one he always packed for business trips. I dumped it on the bed. Condoms. He hadn't used them with me in years. My hands were ice cold, but I didn't cry. Not then. Not yet. I took everything of his clothes, chargers, shaving kit, and shoved it into a pile on the floor. Then I went to the kitchen, grabbed a trash bag, and filled it. Anything I could find that was his. Shoes. Books. Even his stupid mug that said "World's Okayest Husband." By 4 a.m., I had 4 bags by the door and a mental list of every lawyer I could call in the morning. And then the doorbell rang. It was her. Marissa. She was standing there in a hoodie, face splotchy, with a bandage on her forehead and a limp in her step. She actually tried to come inside. "Is he okay?" she asked, as if we were friends. I stepped in front of the door. "Why are you here?" "Hi, I didn't know where else to go," she said, voice cracking. He's not answering, and I thought maybe you thought wrong," I said. "You should leave." She looked shocked. "Look, I didn't mean for this to happen. You didn't mean to sleep with my husband in a hotel bathroom? You didn't mean to call it the best night of your life?" Her eyes widened. She didn't know I saw the text. I didn't know he was married," she stammered. "That was a lie. There were pictures of us on his desk at work. I'd brought him lunch before." She knew. "You can lie to yourself all you want," I said, voice low. "But you're not walking into my house. Ever." I shut the door in her face. She didn't knock again. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't go to work the next day. I started calling lawyers. I started making lists. Bank accounts. Joint credit cards. The mortgage. I didn't tell Dave I knew. Not yet. I wanted to see what he'd say when he woke up. He called me 2 days later, weak voice, trying to sound pitiful. "Hey. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. I remember slipping, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't what it looked like." "You were found half naked in a hotel bathroom with your assistant," I said. "There were her panties in your pocket." Silence. "You have nothing to say?" More silence. "Then, I think we should talk." "I already talked to a lawyer," I said. "We'll talk through them." I hung up. I thought cutting him off would be the worst of it. I thought once the divorce was in motion, I could start over, clean and quiet. But that's not how this kind of thing goes, not with someone like Dave. 2 days after I hung up on him, I got a call from his sister, Maggie. We were never that close, but we'd seen each other enough over the years. Family holidays, weddings, that kind of thing. She sounded panicked. "Laura, what the hell is going on? Dave just called me, crying. He says you're trying to take everything." I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. "I'm filing for divorce, Maggie. Your brother cheated on me. With his assistant. He was caught, literally, with her panties in his pocket." There was a pause. Then she said, "He told me you set him up." I froze. "What?" "He said you'd been distant for months, and that you found out about Marissa and used it as an excuse to destroy him. He said you planted things in his bag. That you knew he was thinking about leaving, and you wanted to get ahead of it." I actually laughed out loud. That man knocked himself unconscious, with his pants around his ankles. "You really think I planned that?" She didn't say anything. I hung up. The next day, Dave posted a long, pathetic note on Facebook. Some rambling mess about making mistakes, how marriage is hard, and how he was struggling emotionally. He never mentioned cheating, never admitted the truth. just spun it into a pity story. And people believed him. I started getting weird texts. Some from his friends. A few from mutual acquaintances. One even said, "You should have supported him better. He's clearly going through something." I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I started collecting everything. Screenshots. Phone logs. Bank statements. I dug deep. If he wanted to play dirty, I was ready. Then I found something I wasn't expecting. An email. From a burner account. Forwarded from his personal inbox to a hidden Gmail address he used for business travel. The email was short. Payment received. Let me know if you want to make her disappear for real next time. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. I read it 10 times. Then I opened the attachment. It was a receipt. A hotel bill. From 6 weeks earlier. The same hotel chain where he had his accident. The charges? Room service. Alcohol. And one weird item listed as private service. Unlisted. I dug deeper. Turns out he'd been hiring escorts during some of those work trips. At least 2 separate agencies. The email came from one of them, someone who ran the bookings. The accident with Marissa? It wasn't the first. She was just the one he got caught with. And the others? Who knows how many? My stomach turned. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a pattern. A whole secret life. And I had proof. I didn't go to the lawyer. Not yet. I went to Marissa. I found her address through one of Dave's old HR forms. I knew it was a risk, showing up unannounced. But I didn't care anymore. I needed to look her in the eye, and I needed her to know what he really was. It was a dingy apartment on the edge of town, nothing like the polished image she tried to keep up at the office. When she opened the door, she looked surprised, then tired. Like she hadn't slept since that night either. "I need to talk," I said. She didn't slam the door. She just stepped aside. We sat at her kitchen table. She had a box of tissues nearby and bruising still around her elbow from the fall. She didn't speak right away. "I'm not here to scream at you," I said. "I'm past that." She nodded, eyes red. "I found emails. Escorts. Hotels. He wasn't just cheating with you. He's been doing this for years." She covered her mouth. "Oh my God." "Yeah." I pulled out the printout of the email. The one with the receipt and that sick message. "Recognize this?" She read it, slowly. Her face went pale. "He showed me that receipt once," she whispered. "Said it was just a weird joke from a buddy. I didn't think you thought he loved you." I asked. Her eyes welled up. "He told me he was leaving you. That he was in love with me. That you were cold and didn't care anymore." I let that sink in. He said the fall wasn't my fault. That I panicked. But he told me not to call 911 right away. Said it would look bad. He didn't want to get caught, I said. Simple as that. She nodded, slowly. "What do you want from me?" "I want a statement. For the lawyer. I want you to tell the truth. All of it. What happened that night. What he said to you before and after. If you're going to let yourself be used, that's one thing. But I'm not going to let him walk away from this clean." She bit her lip. "Okay, I'll do it." I believed her. Maybe she was just trying to save herself. Maybe she was finally seeing him for what he was. Either way, it was something. I left her place and drove straight to my lawyer's office. Dropped the printouts on his desk. "We've got him," I said. He looked through the files, shaking his head. "This isn't just a divorce case anymore. If that escort email is real, and he used company funds or covered it up, he's in deeper trouble than he knows." "Good," I said. "He deserves all of it." But the next twist came sooner than I expected. 3 days later, I got a call. Not from Dave. Not from his lawyer. But from HR at his company. And what they said changed everything. The HR rep sounded nervous. Like she was reading off a script, but wanted to be anywhere else. "Mrs. Blackwell, I know you're in the middle of a divorce, and I hate to drag you into this, but something's come up in our internal review. We found irregular expenses in your husband's accounts. Travel costs, entertainment charges, things that don't match up with client records. It's not just personal, it's company money. I stayed quiet, letting her talk. There's also a concern about a cover-up. He made threats to coworkers. There's even talk he may have falsified records to protect someone else. Possibly. Marissa, we've launched a full investigation. What does that have to do with me? I asked, though I already had a sinking feeling. Some of the credit card accounts he used were joint, she said. Your name's on a few. We're not accusing you of anything, but you may be called in as part of the legal process. I hung up and felt sick. This wasn't just about divorce now. It was fraud. Corporate theft. And I was possibly tied to it because I was too trusting. Too quiet. Too willing to believe he was just busy, just stressed, just tired. I had let myself disappear in our marriage. And now his mess was touching everything I still had. The next day, I got served. Dave had filed a counterclaim. He was suing me for emotional distress, for property damage. He even claimed I was the one having an affair. He wanted the house, the dogs, half of everything. It wasn't even about the money. He just wanted control. So I did something I hadn't planned on. I leaked everything. I sent copies of the emails, hotel receipts, even a short audio clip Marissa gave me, Dave begging her not to call 911 after his fall, to HR, to his company's ethics board, and finally, to a reporter I knew from high school who worked at a local paper. The story went public fast. Local executive under investigation for misuse of funds, sexual misconduct allegations surface. His company suspended him. His clients pulled back. His reputation went straight into the ground. And then came the real blow, federal fraud charges. The escorts, the travel expenses, the shady reimbursements, he'd crossed too many lines. When they traced the money, they found thousands misused, maybe more. He was arrested 6 weeks later. As for me, I kept the house, the dogs. The bakery even started doing better. Maybe people liked knowing someone who stood up for herself. But here's where I admit something hard. I wasn't perfect. I let things slide for too long. I ignored red flags. I swallowed a lot of silence just to keep things smooth. And yeah, maybe I enjoyed watching him fall more than I should have. Maybe I needed to. Because some part of me liked knowing that he finally knew what it felt like to be humiliated, to lose control, to have no one believe his side of the story. I didn't just walk out of that hospital with a plastic bag. I walked out free. And I never looked back.